Good evening, everybody. I guess I can say evening because we've at least finished this Thursday of school. Today, you are tuning in for communicating and cooperating with the Google Suite. I just want to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Chelsea Cody, and I am the Campus I3 here at Sam Houston Middle School. I teach English and language arts for 7th grade, which means right now we're doing a lot of writing and reading, trying to get those final pushes in leading up to the STAR. My moderator for the evening and my wonderful partner, I don't know what I would do without her. Her name is Joy Sanders, and she is the I3 over at O'Banion Middle School. She and I actually knew each other before we knew each other, if that makes sense. I'm sure Joy is getting tired of hearing this story, but we didn't realize until after the fact that we were connected through our same oils group. We're both pretty passionate about using Young Living. I even diffuse it here in my classroom. So it was kind of cool paired together that we already knew each other. If you have any questions at all, she's going to be answering questions over in the comment section. And if you look in the comment section, I've already posted a click sheet that can help you after we finish today, that you can be looking at as we're going through today. It is posted as a Google slide presentation. So if you go to print it, you can print it as a PDF. I've heard that it helps to just kind of have it to the side for those times when you get stuck and you need something to look for. The main thing that we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be the sharing settings and then commenting on student work so that you can communicate with them and that they can also communicate between students in their group work. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see what I see. Might look a little bit weird for a second. Okay. Hopefully you can see what I see. Just to show you really quickly, this is that click sheet that I was talking about. If you were to print this out, you could print it two-sided. It's not going to matter if it is in color or if it's in black and white, but it's going to take you through a step-by-step process of what you're looking at. It's up to date now, but knowing Google, they really work with teachers and other Google users, and they're continuously making changes. So who knows if this will be accurate in 6 months, but for right now, it'll work. Today, here's a few little pictures of me. You don't need to see those pictures yet because we just talked about it. Today, when we are done talking, you are going to be able to do quite a few things. You're going to be able to create a Google Doc slide or a draw if we can get to it, and hopefully we can get to forms. We're going to try and fit in as many as we possibly can in this 30-minute webinar. You're going to be able to change between different share settings. So if you've ever purchased something on Teachers Pay Teachers and it's asked you right away to make a copy, we're going to be able to do that so that you can decide if you want people editing your template or not. You can change and use advanced settings. Again, that's part of that. We're going to assign an assignment and change the share settings to what you attach to that assignment. That is one of the errors that teachers make the most when they are posting an assignment on Google Classroom. You're going to learn how to show students how to share documents, because if you want them to be working in collaborative groups, it's hard sometimes to pick out beforehand, and it's a lot of footwork as a teacher to have to go through and share that to each student. You want them to be able to take a little bit more control of their learning. And then finally, we're going to talk about providing feedback through the use of comments and maybe an extension. If we can get that far, you can see I have an extension already up here. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about creating a document. There's a couple of ways that you can do that. If you're looking at my Chromebook, you can teach students to pin different programs down here in the bottom. If you're using a desktop computer, a computer lab, the easiest way to do that is to, we're going to go ahead and close out of this actually because we don't need it anymore, is to create a new tab. And then I talk about these being the telephone boxes. Half of the kids have no idea what I'm talking about because they don't look like the dialing boxes on their Apple or on their Samsung telephones, but we talk about the telephone boxes. You can click to either go to Docs, Sheets, Slides. I always go straight to my Drive because in Drive you can create all of the documents you need right there. I'll let it load for a second. You can click the New button. And from this New button, you can choose which type of document you want to create. I'm giggling. Joy just said that she calls hers the grid. I didn't know this until the other day either. At the bottom down here, and apparently my students already knew this. You know, they don't share this wealth of knowledge with us all the time. There is a shortcut straight to Classroom. So every time I was showing them, I'd say, you know, new tab, telephone box, Google Classroom, click My Classroom. Now you're in. You can just click this tab, and because they're signed on the Chromebooks, it'll automatically sign them into Google Classroom, which is awesome. We're going to go ahead and start with a doc because this is one that teachers like to use the most, maybe for note-taking, that kind of thing. Once you're in your doc, you can do all the things you would normally do. You would set this document up however you want it to be set up. You can add the title, you can add images. Once the document is the way that you would want it to be and you're ready to share it with your students, you would click right over here on this share button. Let's say I wanted to share this even with another teacher. Webinar practice. I should have done that before I clicked it, because otherwise I won't be able to find it. Once I click the share from here, I would only click from here and type in email addresses of certain individuals. If I wanted to share this out to classes, that's something that we would do in an assignment, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. If I wanted to share a document specifically with Joy, or if I wanted to make sure that other teachers or other students can access my document, just how I set it for you to be able to look at the different click sheets, this is where I got to start. So once I'm on this screen, I can go ahead and type in a person's name. Whoa! And if that's the right email, I can click that email, and then I can click send. I can also change what I want them to be able to do. So if I don't want Joy to be able to actually change the template, I just want her to be able to look at it or to be able to make comments on it if I should make changes. I can change that right here. Can edit means that a person can completely change your template. That means if Joy deletes something, she can delete it. It will delete it for me as well. It basically makes them a second owner. That's a hard term to use. It's not really an owner, a second user of the document. This is where your students would be collaborating together. Okay. If I want to share something that I don't want people editing, that I don't even want the students to be able to comment on, I just want them to be able to look at it and see this, they would click this can view. If you've ever assigned an assignment to a student that they didn't finish and they clicked turn in on Google Classroom and you wanted them to be able to work on it again, but it wouldn't let them make edits, once they turn it in, it automatically turns their assignment into can view only. In order for them to continue making edits, they have to unsubmit it to be able to can edit or to be able to edit. So if I wanted, I can change that. I can also put a note into here about what it's going to be. Hey, this is for our webinar. You don't speak gibberish, but in gibberish, that says this is for our webinar. I guess I could even be grammatically correct here. And then I could push send. And once I push send, she would get a notification to her email. Hey, Mrs. Cody shared with you this document. When you are showing students how to share with one another, that is the method they will go through. Something important to show them when they are typing in their emails is we have some names in our district that are very popular. So I have a student with the last name Martinez, which has a very common first name. And when I type in his email, about 14 other students with the same name, same last name come up. The only difference in their email are those 3 numbers. So, I think he's a 01 something, and there's other 000 001. If the students click the wrong one, then it will not share to the right student. Okay, I had a student who was telling his partners, type in the first 4 letters of my last name. So it'd be like me typing in SAND of Joy's last name. If there is a person named Joy Sand and they push enter, it will send it to Joy Sand's email. If that happens, it's really easy to remove. So I'm going to show you that again really quick. So I'm sending this to Joy so that she can edit. The screen goes away. It shows you that it's shared with one person. To change who it is shared with, I can pull back up that share box and we see that it's shared with Joy. If I click on their names, I can come here and I can delete it. So when my students shared with the wrong person, they can go in and they can delete those extra people. The fastest way that they figure out that it is shared with the wrong person is when their partners go to try and find the shared document and it's not there. So if I was doing this as a collaborative work, and I'm going to show you an example of an assignment I just finished today, actually. If I was doing this as a collaborative document, I would then also show the students how to find what was shared with them. So in your drive, which my drive is a lot more full than theirs are, of course, half of them, when they click on their drive for the first time, they have to go through the tutorial. So you might want to show them how to click through all those boxes. Then over here where my cursor is, you can see there's a tab for shared with me. When you click on this tab, whatever the students just shared will come up first. Okay, that would be right here, the document that they're working on together. You can see that I have some student work that has been shared in there because they turn those in on Google Classroom. As soon as they turn them in, they become shared with me. Gives me a little notification. Before I move on to show you the student examples, just because I have this page open, I want to share with you some knowledge about the advanced sharing settings. So I'm going to come back over again to the share box. If I click down here where it says advanced, it's real small down in the corner. If I click on that, it will allow me to change for a whole population of people. So if I change right here where it says private only, you can access. There are a bunch of other settings that come up. So if I click this very top one, that is the least restrictive sharing setting. That means if I make this document, anybody can search that on Google. So if you've ever looked for a template or a rubric or a lesson plan on Google and you find a Google Doc, probably labeled as public, anybody on the web. Once I choose one of these settings, I can choose if they are able to edit, view, or comment. So when I made that click sheet, I chose anyone at Garland ISD with the link. So not just everybody at Garland ISD is going to be able to access it. I made it specific to only the people that have the link. And then once I did that, I can do can view, can edit, can comment. And because I don't want somebody to accidentally ruin the template, I made it so that you can view. So in order for you to be able to edit it yourself, then you have to make a copy. I could also choose can edit, can comment. If you've looked a lot at the direction that our lesson plans are going on SchoolNet, at least this the last unit that I had looked at, if you were able to pull up a Google Doc that had the overall LP1, LP2, Unit 1, it was set in this way so that you could view it, but in order to open it, you had to make a copy of your own on your drive. Again, that's some of the easiest. If I go back to this original page, I get out of there, I can still see it's just me that has access to this because I deleted Joy. Down here, there are a few other settings that you can teach students about or might be important for you to know. Okay, you can prevent editors from changing the access and adding new people. So I am the owner. I ultimately have access to this document. If my Google Drive for some reason disappears, this document will disappear for everybody else unless they have made a copy themselves on their drive. I learned this the wrong way. Okay, at my last school, I had a very developed Google Drive, so excited about it. After I had left that school and I had been gone about 3 months, they delete all the old emails and it completely wiped out all of my materials that I had collected for the past 3 years. So they had to go back in, reopen my email so I could download all of my drive and then re-upload it as my stuff, or that I could make copies on my own drive. That is a lesson that I learned the hard way. But if I check this, this means if I share this with Joy, she cannot share this with her other friend, okay, without requesting that I share it with them. I could also disable the options to download or print. So let's say I wanted something to be copyright, basically. I didn't want people to be able to download it or to copy it for other people to see. That is something that I might want to click there. So now that we have talked about the main sharing settings, I wanted to move over to an actual example that I just finished with my students today, and then how I would assign that in Google Classroom. Okay, because I did a Google Slides collaboration with my students. That was their slides. Today with my students, what we were doing was rating some release star essays, and each group had a different essay that they were looking at. They had to create a presentation with their other group members that they presented to class, and they were all working on their own separate Chromebooks together on the same presentation. I like doing this because it teaches them a lot about cooperation, communicating, teamwork, because if we're all typing in the same box, the computer goes crazy. They have to work together. They can talk about divvying it up so each person knows what they need to be working on. This is what my slides looked like. I put in each little box what they had to have on each slide. I just did these first 5 slides. Now, this is my template. And I don't want anybody editing this template because I want every group that starts the assignment to only see this template. If I don't choose the correct share setting, when those students go in my next class to start this template, they would be erasing and rewriting over each other's answers. Now, there is a time and place for having an editable template. Now, when we were doing our social contract, everybody was able to edit on the same document at the same time. But this was not one of those situations. So in my Google Classroom, this is actually what the assignment looked like. Okay, there's a few things I want to point out really quickly before I get too far. This expository writing right here that you can see is called a topic. And I add those topics so that it is organized into categories. So lately we've been doing a lot of expository writing. So this category is pretty full. But until I started the one-to-one, I didn't have a lot of developed topics. So hopefully that little collection over there gets a little bit longer. I put a title on here. For students, they would not see this slide down here. All they would see is the topic, the title, and what to do. They would not see this done, not done. They would need to open up the assignment to be able to see this group essay. Okay, this is the finished project or product. I'm going to show you. I would add this on. I'm going to open up. I don't want all my students to get another assignment because they will yell at me tomorrow. So we're going to use my teacher page instead. Again, to create an assignment, we're going to come over to this plus side. We're going to create an assignment because in order to attach something or in order for students to be able to attach a finished material, you have to create an assignment. In an announcement, all they can do is comment. Okay, something similar to this. I want to make sure I create an assignment. In the assignment, if you remember, you can choose multiple classes. If I'm using the same slide for most of my classes, I will schedule them all at the same time. If you want to be able to add extra help for students like sentence stems, something like that, again, you can just choose certain students. Okay, so all these poor people, I won't actually schedule it out, but just in case, we're going to not assign it to any students. I can put my title. I can put my instructions. I can choose a due date, and I can assign a topic. Okay. Then down here, there's a few things that you can use to attach. Because we're talking about that collaboration with slides, we're going to choose Drive. And we're going to choose something from the Drive that we would want everybody to collaborate on. So I'm going to choose that same group essay right here. And then I'm going to add that. Once I add, I can change the settings here. And they are the same settings that we use on our documents except for one, okay? They can comment on the assignment. So instead of having can comment, they replace with make a copy for each student. The two that I use the most are the students can view file and make a copy for each student. With students can view file, this is you're basically posting a PDF that they're just looking at, okay? It is not a full-on assignment that you want them editing. It is not a assignment that you need everybody putting feedback in at once. It's just one that they want to be looking at. If I click make a copy for each student will get their own copy. When I did this group assignment, this is what I chose because I wanted to make the students share the document between each other. And then once that's ready, you can go ahead and click assign. It's not going to let me assign because I am not assigning it to any students. Just to give you a shot of what it looks like for my students today, clearly this group thought highly of what their assignment was going to look like, and they started the presentation off with a bang. You can see over here these little bubbles to the side mean that they added animation and transitions. There were also a few pictures on here, but they did not upload very well. You can see we still are having a few issues, normal 7th grade writing. Okay. They change every slide to fit them. Now, in this group, each person worked on a different slide. So they probably should have taken a little bit of time going back and editing, but I wanted to show you something realistic. When I went to present it, then I was able to go to the assignment and choose which slide I was showing at that time. Before I get too far, and I think we have about 8 minutes, so I want to make sure and show you the comments. And then if we have time, I'll go back and show you the different share settings on forms. It's a little bit more in depth. To put a comment on, it's pretty simple. Right over here, you can click comments. Okay. The nice thing about putting a comment is everybody that shares this document, when you put a comment on, they will get a notification of the comment. And this is something that I show my students right away, because if they are across the room and they've shared a document with each other and they're messaging back and forth, they don't realize right away that if it's a document that I have shared with them, I am getting a notification every time. This is a good thing to show them to keep them accountable. It is also important for them to know that this is documented. Again, this is helping with them being aware of how we use technology. In this, I can type any comments I want. Woo! Struggling with the typing today, man. And then once I push comment, Joy, if I had shared this to her, which I had removed her, she would get an email about that. Maybe I say something like, we need to look at slide 4. I think slide 4 needs some help. So maybe on this assignment, my students could have looked at this next slide where they don't answer the prompt, has no punctuation at the end. Our sentence is a little iffy. They could have added more details about the prompt and say, hey, we need to relook at slide 7. Once that is fixed, they can click resolve. Okay. Since I already put this on here, I can delete it or I can edit it. I can resolve it. This is a great way for you to have student to teacher feedback through Google. Okay. Like I said, those emails come through a lot, so it's important to show students how much you're getting them. I have found that it is a way for me to show students, hey, I can still see what you're doing, even if I'm not standing right over your shoulder. Since we have this 5 minutes left, I'm going to show you this really quickly in Forms. I'm going to forms.google.com. I'm going to show you one of the forms that I have made because this is something that I have gotten a lot of questions about so far this week. So here's a form that I created for my teachers for the Campus I3 Day that I'm going to be moving through and helping in their classrooms. Right now, it's just a click and answer. It's not a quiz. I'm going to show you how to change that so that you can provide feedback right away. Up here in the top, there are 3 tabs where you can choose what type of form this is. If you choose quizzes and make it a quiz, this means that you can say the correct answer on each question. I can then choose, like let's say it's all multiple choice, I can release their grade immediately. Okay, if it is a short answer and I want to be able to answer more to that, I can check this for later after review. Okay, I can also see which responses I want them to be able to view. I can say if I want them to see what questions they missed, what the correct answers are, how much each question is worth. Now, for me, because I'm really big about making sure that each student gets a fresh slate, when I do this on a form and I let them have that immediate feedback, I always make sure to make a second version of that form and shuffle the answers and the questions so that my students are not just coming in the next class period and click, 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 got them all right. It really throws the kids for a loop. And once I do it once or twice, they don't question it. And normally I don't even have to create multiple quizzes after that point. This is an easy way for you to give instant feedback. Our kids are huge about that instant gratification. And so in doing that, they're able to see right away how they did. Some food for further thought is to look into the Google Web Store, okay, the Chrome Web Store, and look for extensions, that's these little things up here, that give you the ability to give greater feedback. Okay, one of those is read and write, which I have installed. I'll just kind of show you what that one looks like. Because I'm not going to have enough time to go through it. Just moved it. Let's go to the Chrome Web Store. So we're going to go to the Chrome Web Store. Let me have this on my other account. Okay, it is this one right here, this purple one. When I click Add to Chrome, I forgot that I removed this so I could show you how to do it, and click Add Extension, it will automatically be up here in my toolbar. Now, right now, I have the Pro version up, but once I go back to a slide where I am providing feedback to a student, it's taking a while to load. This read and write will not only allow me to type a comment, it will also allow me to put in a voice comment, to add a link, to add pictures, to add video. I can screencast what I'm doing right now with you and record that to post for the students. I don't want to pull up another student's page. Let's see. So right here, you can see there's the picture, there's the recording. I can highlight, I can mark. These are all important things that you can use with providing feedback for your students. So There are all kinds of things that we could go over today, but we're not going to have enough time. Google is a deep, dark hole of goodness. So if there are more questions that come up, feel free to email me. My email is cdcody@garlandisd.net. You're welcome to comment over here on the side as we're wrapping up if anything comes up. To make sure that you get the CPE credit for tonight, Joy is going to post a little link. Click that link, take the survey. That's going to make sure that you get the credit. So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you found one or two things that are going to be helpful to you. And hopefully we'll see you soon at some more of our webinars. All right. Thank you.